When the clinic suddenly called me, I was ready to hear the worst. But not this. The clinic administration didn't want a scandal. They apologized for the wrong diagnosis and offered compensation. I was so shocked that I didn't even know whether to laugh or cry. I was healthy and suddenly a little bit rich. All of that nightmare could have never happened. But honestly, I was grateful to the incompetent doctor who gave me that diagnosis. Because of it, I met Eevee, and I found a purpose in life, and I already knew what I was going to do next.
Happiness is rarely complete. And that's exactly what happened. Mark, he was the last person I expected to see here. He came with a business proposal. His new fiancée had seen Eevee on the internet and wanted her as a wedding gift. He offered a lot of money, but Eevee wasn't for sale. Then Mark reminded me that shelters like this are very easy to shut down. Inspections, fines, and the animals would be taken away. I told him to leave. Before closing the car door, he smirked. He said he wanted to settle this the nice way, in memory of our relationship. But I was still the same fool I had always been, and that I would regret it.
A week had passed since Mark showed up. I had almost stopped thinking about him, until something terrible happened. Eevee was the first to sense that something was wrong in the yard. She woke me up. There was a flicker of fire outside the window. I hurried to get dressed, but Eevee had already rushed outside. One of the enclosures was on fire. I ran to put it out, and when the flames were gone, Eevee was nowhere to be found.
Where are you?
Eevee?
Jake arrived about an hour later. He just hugged me and quietly said, "I'll find her, I promise." The police came too, but they only shrugged. To them, it was just a missing animal. But to me, Eevee was family. We called shelters and clinics, checked listings, asked people around. And finally, we got a lead. Someone had seen a man with Eevee at a gas station outside town. The trail led to an old abandoned farm.
This is important.
Now, let's go.
The trail led us to an old farm outside the city. Inside a broken-down barn, Eevee was sitting in a cage. Mark stood nearby, talking on the phone. "Yeah, I've got the animal. Rare one. People will pay anything for it." He listened for a moment, then said calmly, "Send your guys. Destroy that little zoo. The owner too, if necessary." He smirked and kicked the cage. Eevee closed her eyes, and when she opened them again, the barn suddenly grew brighter. Mark stepped back. What the hell? Eevee's fur began to glow.
I will probably never know what really happened in that barn. But later, Mark kept saying that that creature just looked at him. And in that moment, he saw everything. Everything he had done. Mark screamed like he was burning alive. By the time Jake and I burst into the barn, he was already lying on the floor. And the cage was bent outward from the inside. Eevee was gone.
A year passed. That day, cameras gathered at the gate of our yard. We were opening the shelter, Eevee's Haven. Journalists, a live stream on YouTube, people from across the state. But the real star, of course, was Eevee. She proudly walked between the cameras and patiently posed. Over that year, hundreds of animals found a home here. Sometimes in the evening, I just walk out into the yard. Eevee always finds me first. "You know, Eevee, that woman in the forest was right. You changed my life. But more importantly, you taught me how to make others happier. Eevee,